Timothy Matthew Howard's life story begins in North Brunswick, New Jersey, where he was born on March 6, 1979. His early years were shaped by a mix of challenges and opportunities that would later define the resilience, discipline, and determination he became known for. Raised by his mother Esther, who worked tirelessly to support her family, Tim grew up in an environment that was not always easy, but it gave him the foundation of grit and mental toughness that would later serve him well in the world of professional sports. His father, Matthew, was a truck driver, and though his parents separated when Tim was still young, both parents played significant roles in his upbringing. One of the earliest defining factors of Howard's childhood was his diagnosis of Tourette syndrome and obsessive-compulsive disorder. At a young age, he began to show signs of the neurological condition that caused involuntary tics and movements, something that could have easily made him an outsider among his peers. But instead of allowing it to destroy his confidence, Howard learned to adapt, to accept that this condition was part of his life, and to find ways to manage it. This diagnosis, which could have been a limitation, became a source of strength, because it instilled in him a level of perseverance and self-awareness uncommon in children his age. Over the years, Howard would not only overcome the challenges of living with Tourette's, but he would become one of the most prominent advocates and inspirations for others with the condition, showing that a neurological disorder did not have to limit someone's potential. As a child, Tim was always active. His energy found outlets in multiple sports, but soccer quickly became his true passion. While many American kids lean towards basketball, baseball, or American football, Howard gravitated to the soccer pitch. He was drawn to the game's rhythm, the intensity, and above all, the unique role of the goalkeeper. Unlike other positions, goalkeeping required a combination of focus, reflex, leadership, and bravery, qualities Howard would later embody at the highest level. His tall frame, athleticism, and incredible hand-eye coordination made him stand out early on. In his teenage years, Howard balanced his studies and training, developing his skills in local leagues and high school competitions. Despite financial challenges, his mother and family supported his dream, sometimes sacrificing their own needs to ensure that Tim could play. Coaches who worked with him in his youth quickly noticed that he had something rare, not just natural talent, but also a relentless hunger to improve. This hunger made him a disciplined student of the game. He would spend hours after training, diving, catching, working on his footwork, and sharpening his reactions. At the same time, his Tourette's continued to shape his identity. While it occasionally made him the target of teasing, Tim developed a thick skin. The resilience he gained from this. Tim Howard's early success at Manchester United was the stuff of dreams, but as with many careers at the highest level, the road soon became turbulent. The Premier League is unforgiving, and at Manchester United, where pressure and expectations are astronomical, every mistake is magnified. After a strong debut season, Howard found himself facing increasing scrutiny. His confidence, though steady, was tested by the constant demands of top-flight English football. In his second season at Old Trafford, Howard made some errors that cost the team in crucial moments, particularly in Champions League fixtures. The English media, never shy about criticism, pounced. Suddenly, the narrative shifted. Could an American goalkeeper truly handle the pressures of Manchester United? Sir Alex Ferguson, the legendary manager of the club, had initially shown immense faith in Howard, but as the mistakes piled up, Ferguson turned to veteran goalkeepers like Roy Carroll and later Edwin van der Sar to restore stability. For Howard, this was a difficult pill to swallow. Yet, one of Howard's defining traits was resilience. While some players crumble when demoted, Howard took the challenge as an opportunity to learn. He trained harder, studied his performances, and found ways to maintain focus even when he wasn't starting. Off the pitch, he adapted to life in England, embracing the culture and strengthening his mental toughness. He knew his time at Manchester United was uncertain, but he refused to let disappointment derail his career. In 2006, a turning point arrived. Everton, another Premier League club, offered Howard the chance to join on loan. For a player desperate for consistent playing time, this was a golden opportunity. Everton, based in Liverpool, had a proud history and loyal supporters but lacked the resources of the Giants. It was a club where hard work and passion were valued, and this environment suited Howard perfectly. Howard immediately made an impact at Goodison Park. His commanding presence in goal, ability to organize the defense, and spectacular shot-stopping quickly made him a fan favorite. Everton supporters appreciated his work ethic and humility, traits that aligned with the club's working-class identity. That loan spell was so successful that Everton made the move permanent in 2007, and Howard would go on to spend nearly a decade as their number one. During his Everton years, Howard blossomed into one of the Premier League's most reliable goalkeepers. Week after week, he delivered consistent performances, often keeping Everton in matches against stronger opponents. His agility and reflexes were world-class, but what truly set him apart was his mentality. In high-pressure situations, Howard rarely looked rattled. He became known for his incredible saves in critical moments, where his concentration and courage stood out. One of the highlights of his Everton career came in the 2008-09 season when he played a central role in helping the club REA. When Tim Howard announced his retirement from professional football in 2019, it was the end of an era. For over 2 decades, he had guarded goals in 2 continents, faced the best strikers in the world, and represented his country on the biggest stage. But retirement was never going to mean stepping away from the game entirely. Howard's life had always been about more than just football. It was about resilience, advocacy, leadership, and inspiring others. His post-playing career reflected those same values. In the immediate aftermath of retirement, Howard transitioned smoothly into broadcasting. His knowledge of the game, combined with his calm and articulate style, made him a natural fit as a soccer analyst. Networks such as NBC Sports tapped into his expertise to provide commentary on Premier League matches. Having spent a decade in England, Howard offered insights not only into tactics and players but also into the unique culture of English football. Viewers appreciated his perspective, as he spoke not from the comfort of a studio but from the lived experience of someone who had faced Arsenal at Highbury, Chelsea at Stamford Bridge, and Liverpool at Anfield. His commentary carried the authority of a man who had stood in the penalty area under the heaviest of pressures. At the same time, Howard's influence grew beyond the microphone. He became part owner and sporting director of Memphis 901 FC, a United Soccer League championship team. For Howard, this was not just a business move, it was about growing the game in America, especially in places where soccer was still emerging. He envisioned Memphis 901 as more than a club. It was a community hub, a place to inspire local youth, and an opportunity to expand soccer's reach in the United States. Howard brought to the role the same dedication he had shown as a player, determined to lay foundations for future generations. But what perhaps made Howard stand out most in his post-career life was his continued advocacy for people living with Tourette syndrome. Having grown up with the condition, he had always been open about its challenges and the way it shaped him. As a professional athlete, he turned what others might see as a limitation into a badge of strength. Throughout his career, he became a symbol of hope for children and families dealing with neurological disorders. After retirement, this advocacy only deepened. He worked with organizations to raise awareness, speaking publicly about his journey and showing that Tourette syndrome did not have to stop anyone from achieving their dreams. He often shared personal anecdotes, reminding young people that what made them different could also make them extraordinary. His personal life also became a source of attention, though Howard always maintained a balance between public visibility and private space. He was a devoted father to his children, and despite the demands of a football career that often kept him far from home, he worked to remain present.